Iran was dragging its feet, but saying Iran would not obtain nuclear weapons in any case, either because of an agreement or because of the use of military action. This news comes as Israeli media reports a tense 40-minute phone call conversation took place between Trump and Netanyahu about permanently ending the war in Gaza. The Prime Minister's office has yet to comment on the phone call between the two leaders, but Trump reportedly told Netanyahu that the so-called Witkoff framework that would pause the war in Gaza for 60 days in exchange for about half of the hostages held is not enough. Trump also reportedly ruled out an Israeli or a joint U.S.-Israeli attack on Iran at this time. Trump reportedly told the Israeli leader that his public comments on plans to attack Iran if nuclear talks fail were not helpful to his efforts in reaching an agreement. And Prime Minister Netanyahu is now saying significant progress has been made in negotiations about a hostage and ceasefire deal. It's the second time in the last few weeks the Prime Minister signaled some type of advancement, but nothing concrete has happened yet. Within the last few days, Hamas submitted their response to U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff's proposal, with Witkoff calling them, quote, unacceptable. Reports indicate countries like Qatar are working to advance the deal and resolve issues for both sides, but especially to soften Hamas's stance on their response. Issues that stand in the way include Hamas wanting to end the war and stay armed, as Israel and Witkoff are pushing for a ceasefire that lasts for 60 days, although Israel is saying it won't agree to end the war completely. Now, the Prime Minister's office said in a statement Netanyahu met with Defense Minister Israel Katz, IDF Chief Eyal Zamir, Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer, and other members of the negotiating team. The statement went on to say that Netanyahu is meeting with them to receive updates on the framework for the release of the hostages and to discuss next steps. Now, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is now denouncing sanctions placed on National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir and Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich by the UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Norway. It's the first time since the start of the war key Israeli cabinet members are facing personal sanctions from close Western allies. The 5 countries have imposed asset freezes and travel bans on both of them, and the coordinated move is a response to what these countries describe as months of incitement and human rights abuses against Palestinians in the West Bank. The sanctions come amid growing frustration among allies over the Netanyahu's government policies inside of the West Bank and Gaza. Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar called the sanctions, quote, outrageous, emphasizing the government would meet early next week to formulate a formal response. And drama is playing out today in the Knesset, with the future of the Netanyahu-led coalition at risk. An ultimatum from ultra-Orthodox parties to dissolve the Knesset over the failure to pass a law on IDF conscription to their liking is at the center of the storm. The ultra-Orthodox parties are threatening to support a bill to disperse the Knesset due to Netanyahu's failure to push through a law to regulate Haredi army service. The bill represents the most serious threat to the coalition's stability since taking office at the end of 2022. And over the past 24 hours, Operation Gideon's Chariots continued to roll out throughout the Gaza Strip. At the same time, the IDF anti-terror ops were active in Nablus in the West Bank. In Gaza, during an operation by the Givati Brigade, the forces identified and eliminated 2 terrorists posing as women. They were carrying sacks from a military building used by the terrorists. Meanwhile, in Nablus, 2 gunmen were killed and 4 soldiers were lightly wounded in overnight operations. An IDF and Shin Bet and border police operation was conducted inside of Nablus. Security forces reached over 250 buildings and seized weapons from terrorists and wanted men in the area. And that's a wrap on ILTV on the Hour, live from Israel and the Middle East. We're here top of the hour, the only English news doing it with live updates. Thanks so much for watching, and stay with us for more.